Hi everyone. Welcome to today's episode of the Football for Life show podcast with your host Wheelyyy. Today's episode is a bit of a somber topic. It's a match reaction to Liverpool's 4-1 defeat to Manchester City in the Premier League at Anfield. Wow, that was pretty shit, wasn't it? That was probably the worst prediction I've made for a long time. Um, I'm sure. if people have watched my preview video, I um I thought that we'd pull out a narrow win. Maybe like a 2-1 or a 3-2 or a 1-0. And gosh, yeah, that did not go well. I correctly predicted the starting midfield. I predicted accurately the goalkeeper and front line. I predicted most of the defense. I got the centre back pairing wrong. I thought we would immediately start one of the new signings, and we just didn't. But I can understand why Klopp didn't start Kabak or Davis. Kabak's just got international clearance to play for us, and doesn't know anything about our system and has only had about 2 days to train. So that's not a problem at all. It's a problem that we couldn't get the deal done earlier so that he had more time with us. But, I think he probably wouldn't have played in the biggest game anyway for us against City from the start. I think that was too much of an expectation. I think there's something to be said for him having to get out of the Schalke mindset and get used to the Liverpool winning mentality, get used to the city, the country. Living away from Germany, which he's been familiar with for quite some time. Yeah, and so I can understand why he wasn't played. Davies, yeah, again, I think he would have been too inexperienced. And it takes a while to learn our system and what it requires and the intensity that it demands from you. So I can totally understand why he wasn't playing. That hurt. That really hurt, actually. For those that don't know, it was my birthday yesterday, and I just turned 25, which feels like a big significant moment. But and I had an incredible day, and I thought, this Liverpool victory could not knock it up even higher. And it was a blow to see that when we were 1-0 down, just after half time, I think, wasn't it? And then I was ecstatic when when Mo equalised from the penalty spot, regardless of how controversial or not controversial that penalty is. And the debate around whether a penalty should be celebrated or not. And then it just unraveled, didn't it? Allison had an absolute mare. And I'll talk through more of the goals in a minute. But yeah, that really stung. And it's unusual to see us in this position. It's certainly something we haven't seen for a long time. But I don't think it's something to lose our heads over. I think it's something to take a moment of reflection on and take some deep breaths and think, okay, what are our priorities for this season? What would be classed as a positive season, a successful season? Give us a really positive grounding going into next season, because we could still go far in the Champions League. We still could go far in some of the other we can still get top four, and guarantee us Champions League football next year when the world does come back to normality again, and when we do have our main centre backs back and most of our team back. Yeah, I think certainly for us, the goal has to be that we go for top four, like every season. I think Champions League. Let's see again who we can put out against Leipzig. See what the result is after the first leg, and then assess what we can do in that competition. If we get past Leipzig and go out in the round after, so be it. If we go to the semi-final and lose, then so be it. If we get to, if we get all the way to the final and lose it, then or something like that, then I would be fine. I would be fine because we'd still maintain Champions League football. Or if we, theoretically we still could win the Champions League. It's very unlikely. We're very good at playing really high profile games that require a lot of us. And I think, cup competitions, particularly in Europe, suit the way our squad is. Of course, that will be made immensely complicated with no Van Dijk and no Gomez, and with other injuries and players being massively out of form. But I think with people like Kabak and playing like Fabinho there, it's a different speed. I think we could still try and go as far as we possibly can, and I don't think this season's a total write-off. I will say now though that I do think we don't have any chance for the title. I think that's over. I think City might slip. City might fall apart. They might have some serious injuries themselves, and we might close the gap. But I think if City keep playing the way that they are, and we keep not falling, but if we keep raising ourselves up and then slipping and raising ourselves up confidence-wise, technique-wise, whatever, and then slip again, we'll eventually get to a point where that inconsistency means that we're not going to actually get near them. We might still get second, we still might get third, because I still think we're better than a ton of the teams in the top four. But I think, it's a lot harder to say that we can go from the title than we could do, say, after the West Ham game. We were on a crescendo. We had beaten Tottenham, we'd beaten West Ham comfortably, with skill, with precision, good defensive stability. Apart from the screamer from Højbjerg and the albeit fairly soft defending for the West Ham goal from a late corner, I think we looked really positive. Yeah. I've forgotten what I was going to say, but yeah. But I think that was a point where we could close the gap, but I think it's just too far out of reach now. I think probably it's best to just recap the goals and go through with my thoughts on them. So where do we start with the goals? Well, obviously from the very first moment, we looked slow, we looked a bit leggy, we were giving away space where we shouldn't have. The Fabinho penalty giveaway on Gundogan, it's soft, but he catches him. It's a silly mistake, but again, it's a mistake that anyone can make. And thankfully, Gundogan blazes it over the bar. The goal from City to make it 1-0 is a very precise goal. It's a goal that is indicative of what City are like. Foden out to sort of Sterling and then back to Foden, who hits it, and then Gundogan just simply puts it in the net. It's it's as one. It's as simple as literally 1, 2, 3, 4. Literally 2 passes, 2 shots, and a goal, and they cut through the entire defense. And Alisson gets a hand to it, but in many ways he just puts Robertson in a hole. And it just was a precursor of what then turns out to be an absolute horror show of a night for him. It's I don't think I've ever seen Alisson like this in my life. At any of the clubs that he's played for before us. And honestly, I'm shocked. It was an absolute horror show. But so that's the first goal, right? But then the second goal, and sorry, our goal is really lovely. Trent in the right back position, perfect ball to Salah. It's a mistake from Diaz. Let's get it clear. But Salah does well to get past him with the ball, maintain that possession as he's breaking into the penalty area, as he's holding off Diaz. And he falls down, looks a little bit theatrical, but it's a penalty all day long. And that was representing a real lifeline for us. It showed that he's still sharp, and he is still sharp. He is still scoring even when we're losing. And he calmly stands in the D, shuffles on the spot, and then powers it home. And actually, it's this reoccurring thing for him. I think lots of our fans worry that he's one of those players that always makes you nervous when he's about to take a penalty. And no one really knows why, because actually he's really prolific when he takes penalties. He scores nearly all of them, and he never misses penalties. But yet, it's something about that way he hits it straight down the middle with all that power that is unstoppable, but freaks people out. And then yes, let's do them as a 2 then. So, the ball's back with Alisson from a goal kick. He tries to go for a long ball into midfield, I think. He second gets himself and tries to roll the ball back, but and to put it on the spot and play it out to Thiago, basically. And it's very uncomfortable to watch. He's scuffing the pass. It's Fabinho Fabinho has to clear it upfield as far as he can, just has to hoof it to get it out of there, because Alisson's put him in such a hole. And you see 1, 2, 3 Liverpool defenders or defending Liverpool players standing there, but City have pressed so effectively that with Sterling on the left and on the right, and Gundogan slightly behind, and Jesus up front. They really put him under enough pressure to make him sort of really freak out. It's not cleared properly, and Walker basically plays a first-time ball back to what looks like Gundogan, and then it pings around back to Fabinho, who plays it back to Alisson, and Alisson again clears it with no power straight to another City player. In this case, it's Foden, who then breaks past our 2 defensive players and sort of chips it past Alisson, who knocks it and it knocks across into Gundogan, who scores to make it 2-1. And you just think that's 2 nightmarish passes. The second one even worse than the first. that just leaves you shaking your head and you keeping your head in your hands. And then it just gets worse for their third goal. You know, Wijnaldum has the ball. He's surrounded by basically 3 City players closing him down. And a fourth in the center of the penalty area or on the edge of the D. Alisson tries to play a chipped pass to what looks like Fabinho on the edge of the box, defensive box, but passes it straight to Phil Foden. Sorry, Bernardo Silva, who chips it over and passes it to Sterling, who has basically one of the easiest goals he's ever scored against us. He has all that room. And then the fourth goal, and oh my God. That's the first time I've seen that goal. Oh my God. That is unbelievable. It's just, oh, it's unreal. Right. This is the fourth goal, and I want to say this, and I want to get it uh, get it over and done with, because I'm just drained by it. As you can see in these last few minutes, my demeanor's changed. Look, Trent's back, Genie's back, Milner's back, Henderson's back, Fabinho's back, Robertson's back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players back. Sterling chips it out over the head of Robertson, into Foden, who kills it with one touch on the edge of the box. Ducks inside very slightly, to pass Robertson to the side of Robertson, and credit the finish. He's absolutely rifled that with probably all the power that he could generate through his leg, and fires past Alisson, hits the top of the net, and rolls down the side of the inside of the net. And Alisson's absolutely not moving. There's no way he's getting to that. And that capped an awful night for the Reds. Yeah, I'm as you can tell from that reaction to that final goal. I hadn't seen it before. 2, I hadn't seen all of those goals together like that in one go, in one video. And it just lays bare where we're at as a team at the moment. And, we were humiliated. That is by far one of the worst performances I've seen or heard about in many years. And I think that's a sign of the progress we've made as a team. You hear people like Roy Keane talking about how it's an embarrassing title defense, but his Man United wouldn't have been able to do under Fergie, wouldn't have been able to win all of these leagues in the way that they did if they had the injuries that we had, if they had the inconsistency that we have. This really long bad run of games that we've had. Most of our team has had to play nearly every single game for the last 3 years, and you can see that they're emotionally, physically, mentally knackered. There's a reason that these players aren't closing them down, that offensive players down as much. It's because they don't have the legs anymore. Not at least this season, given the really congested schedule and everything like that. Normally we have the fans to keep us going and keep us strong, but we don't. We have to do that with a vacuum, in a vacuum. And I think we're unique. I think us and Sheffield United are unique in the sense that the crowd is almost a 12th player for us. And they, it's that atmosphere at the Kop end. The Kop sucks in the ball. And we just don't look the same without that. And combine that with the injuries and the loss of form, and when people have lost form at the point that they've lost it, and in the way that they've lost it, yeah, it's really painful. But again, we push forward. We take a deep breath. We take account of ourselves. We have to go again. There's no way we get out of this if we stick our heads in the sand and cry and get angry at the manager. I thought it was sensible to start Curtis Jones last night. By all accounts, he was really positive. But we lost, but not all is lost. We can still have a great end to the season. We can still make progress in the cups. Klopp does need to think about the substitutions he's making, and the timings at which he makes them. But I'm not thinking anything too drastic. I think when things return to normal in a footballing context, things really will be a lot different. I think we will be back at our best, and I think we'll get our confidence back. Yes, there are questions over whether the centre back should have been brought in earlier, so that we had more time to bed them in, get clearance, get them training. But this season is as weird as all the others that have come before. It is weird in a way that hasn't come before, and deals were very late. Can only be done very late. There were not many teams that actually bought players. Most deals were done in on loan, and most of those were done at the end as well. There was not like a whole swell of signings made by other clubs within the first week of the window. There just wasn't. So yeah, those are my thoughts. At some point this week, I'm going to try and do a podcast with Nije, and sort of get together and gather our thoughts and talk about the rest of the season and collect ourselves and go again. I have faith in this team. I have faith in the manager. And I love Liverpool, and ultimately, it's fine to have critiques of the players, fine to have critiques of the manager, especially after a performance like that. But it's not an excuse to lose your head, or get violent, or get angry. Really, really angry. It's not a reason to lose hope. And as we've always said, and is the mantra of the club, you'll never walk alone. And that's what we have to say to the players as well. Say that, like, at your lowest moments, at your hardest moments, we're here, and you are not alone. You may be in an empty stadium. You may feel like the world is against you. But the Twitter hate is not us. They may say they are us, but they aren't. And yeah, I think on a positive note, Mo scored again. That's another one. There are very small things we can bring out, but these are exciting times to be a Liverpool fan still. And we'll have dark days, but we'll have far more bright days. And we have to hold on to those and cherish those in so many different ways. So thank you all for joining me, and I'll see you later in the week. Bye bye.